Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for watching. This is K from Ear to the Streets. Back with another one. Um, now, yesterday I was watching. I like court TV. Like that's entertaining to me. I don't know. I'm like a old that soul type of dude. But um, I was watching court TV, and there's a show called Paternity Court, and it's it's crazy, man. Like it's like I watch these things, man, and when I'm watching it, the thoughts that I have, I'll be like, yo, is something wrong with me? Like, am I jaded? But I know I'm not jaded, yo. You know, I know I would be called jaded. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. It's like, how do you watch this unbiasedly and not like say like this woman is crazy or these women are crazy, man. Like, and this to let you in on what I'm talking about. It was a paternity. It was a paternity court case where there's a mother, right, and she has a daughter, I believe, that's 28 years old, and the daughter's whole life, the mom has been telling her that the man that was in her mom's life was her actual father. When in all, but the truth was that her dad was another guy, and the guy that the mom had had this guy and the daughter believing that he was the father was like a dude who was like in and out of jail her whole life. So when you hear her explain it, like she didn't really have a male or a man figure in her life. You know what I'm saying? And she explains how she met her kid's father, and at times she would even call him dad because he filled those shoes. And that's one thing, an aspect of this that I want to address. Like, a lot of times for men, when we dealing with women, you get put into a peculiar space. Whereas, you know, there's things that this woman hasn't been taught. There's love that this woman hasn't been given a lot of times when they grow up without a father in their lives. So as that man, as her man, the man in that situation, you fill those shoes. But a lot of times when a man is trying to give his guidance and his lessons, the first thing that he'll hear is "You are not my father." So, you know, it's a very deep psychological thing where you're filling the shoes of a father who was absent, but at the same time, you and that woman both know that your true role is supposed to be her man. But as her man, there's no way that you could sit there and have that knowledge and have that understanding and not feel the need to, enlighten her or pass that on to her. But you can't do it when your hands is tied behind your back or it's being received like you trying to be controlling or overbearing, or just trying to over dominate her, you know. And for a woman that can take that type of guidance from her man, it's a beautiful thing because that would actually add value in her eyes to this man. The fact that he would be able to take on that role and fill those shoes of a void for her that really he didn't cause or wasn't his responsibility to fill, and he would be willing to. That's beautiful for both on both ends. You know what I'm saying? It's just nothing but positive could come from that and growth. But a lot of times it's not received as positive or constructive. It's received negatively, and women tend to buck from it, even if they. And I honestly, I think it's because of the pain they actually feel from realizing that there's something missing. You know what I'm saying? They realize that there's something missing when they start to feel this man filling that void, and I believe they get a little it scares them, and it's just it's deep, man. It's deep.
Claim that 6 months ago, your mother, the defendant, shared a secret she'd kept from you your entire life. After 28 years believing one man was your biological father, you've now learned it may be another. You have petitioned the court for a paternity test to find out if the man waiting outside of our courtroom today is indeed your biological father. Now, Ms. Simmons, you admit to keeping a lifelong secret from your daughter. You claim you recently ran into an ex-lover on a bus. You say that for the very first time, you told this man that he could be your daughter's dad. We'll meet him in just a few moments. But first, Ms. Lawrence, please tell the court how your mother revealed her 28-year secret to you.
First off, I just want to say that I am definitely emotionally frustrated with her. She called me about 6 months ago, and when I answered the phone, she was hysterically crying, and of course, I didn't know what was going on. And I'm asking her, what's wrong, what's wrong? She's beating around the bush, telling me all these random stories. And then finally, she goes into saying that she met some random man on the bus and that he could possibly be my father.
One day, you were just sitting at home talking to your mother.
Talking to my mom, just a regular phone
and
call.
And out of the blue, she says that someone else could be your father.
That someone else can be my father.
What did you feel like? 28 years, and you think another man is your father?
Definitely betrayed, being that we're like the best of friends. She could have definitely told me a long time ago.
Mom, let me hear from you. What happened?
I ran into Rudy on the bus one day on the way from school. And I'm like, I know him, you know, from my past. I've never forgotten him. And I say, excuse me, what is your name? Is your name Rudolph? And he says, yes. I say, Rudolph Rockamore. He says, yes, it is. He asks me, who are you? And I look at him like this. I'm like, for real? Really? And I'm like, I'm Yvette.
Look,
I'm
okay.
Yvette. Yes.
You better recognize,
exactly.
huh?
Now I want to break down the psychology and this clip that we just watched. Now, did you notice the daughter basically said that she was emotionally frustrated with the mom, and the judge didn't even acknowledge that. The mom didn't acknowledge it, but when this man didn't recognize this woman after 28 years, he better recognize. And notice how even the judge is a German Shepherd, in the words of Minister Joe. And it's just crazy. This story is going to get crazier and crazier. Pay attention to the mother's selfishness.
Exactly. We started talking for a second. He even passed up his bus stop. We exchanged phone numbers and just says, call me later. So we, conversated for a while, like, where have you been? I haven't seen you in a long time. When did you come back to LA?
She conversation. I want to know what the conversation would happen when it got to the good part.
Look, Miss Simmons, she want to know what happened as it relates to her and the fact that this man could potentially be her father.
Well,
how did it get to that part of the conversation?
In the conversation with Rudolph, I told him it's a possibility that I may have your child.
Wow. What was his response to this?
I said, he say, what would make you think that it's my daughter? I say, because there's really no resemblance to the man that she calls her father. And
Excuse me. Sorry. I just want to know why you didn't tell me before. Like,
I couldn't. I had no idea. I had no idea.
When you say you
No idea about
couldn't,
what?
Miss Simmons, why do you say you couldn't?
The man that she calls her father, I mean, she's a daddy's girl, most definitely. I didn't want to break the bond between her and her dad. You know, I thought I would never see him again, so I felt that there was no reason for me to bring this up to her.
Now notice when the daughter asked why she didn't tell her this years ago, she gave 3 different answers in a matter of about 2 seconds. She said she couldn't. Then she said, like, the daughter was a daddy's girl, so she didn't want to break the daughter's bond with the dad. And then the third thing was, this guy was out the picture, so he was pretty much irrelevant. And what's crazy about that is, this is not illegal. This is not illegal for a woman to sit there and lie to her daughter, lie on the other guy who thought that was his daughter, and lie to this man who's now getting brought into the picture 28 years later. This is a form of terrorism. And I don't understand. I do understand. I don't understand how most people out here just don't really call this for what it is, man. This is pure Homeland terrorism.
I think her initially telling me from the beginning would have made it more, you know what I mean?
So
'Cause
you
now
knew,
it's just-
you knew, Miss Simmons, this man really may not be her father. You made that call on your own, and you've held this secret by yourself all these years?
Actually, I wasn't even really sure because me and her dad had broken up. And when I went back home and got with her dad, I found out like I was almost 3 months pregnant.
But once you realized you were pregnant, you knew in your mind that you were not certain who your daughter's father was.
True.
This is insane. After 28 years, this woman still don't have her lie down. She just sat up there and tried to say that when she got back with the man who she finagled into believing that was his daughter, she was already 3 months pregnant. Now do the math. Let's just say she went full term and it took 9 months for her to have the kid. What if she lied to this man and tell him that the baby was premature? And it's crazy how she's sitting up in the court now acting like oblivious and innocent to her own master plan. Pay attention. Pay attention.
What was your relationship like, Ms. Lawrence, with your father growing up?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Wherever he would go, I would go. My dad always made sure I had money in my pocket. Always the flyest. I mean, back in those days, I'm an 80s baby, so Elises, Filas,
trust me, I was
LA
alive in the
Gears,
80s too. I won't tell my age, but I remember trying to be fly as well.
Yeah,
so you had a good relationship.
Me and my dad had a very, I mean, we still do to this day. We have a really, really good relationship. And definitely, I mean, because he, you know, he had kind of like that thug life lifestyle to where he was, you know, kind of in and out of prison. So growing up, it kind of affected like just me being in relationships with men. And I've only had one real long-term relationship, and that's my child's father. And he took care of me too. Like, he took care of me like when my dad wasn't there. My baby's dad took care of me. I mean, we would joke around. It would be to a point to where he would say certain things like, you know who your daddy is. You know what I mean? Like, I would call him dad sometimes just because he was that male figure. And
because you were looking for that
Right.
male figure.
So she not only makes the choice to lie to everybody, but she also makes the decision to pick a dude who's not even going to be around. Now, remember I said pay attention to the lies, because the reason why she said that she wasn't keeping the father, the biological father, around or trying to keep him in contact or letting the daughter know, one of her reasons was he wasn't around and this other guy was around. But come to find out, she's running around telling her boyfriend that he's more like a father than her own father, because he was living the thug life and in the streets. So somewhere in here, I'm still trying to figure out what on earth would make this woman make these decisions, but it doesn't even matter, because she's just gonna do this, cause all this trauma, terrorize her own daughter, and walk away like she's the victim.
Right.
Now, Ms. Simmons, how does it make you feel to hear your daughter say this?
It hurts. It hurts a lot. I never really knew that she felt like that. Me not telling her was because I didn't want to hurt her, or I didn't want to hurt
You
her.
didn't think
And
that it would hurt
because
me more now than it
I
would a
never
long time
thought
ago?
I would run into him. I never thought I would see him again.
So basically, if you didn't bump into this man on the bus, you would have just kept the lie alive. And you hurting right now. Like, do you see not the only person that sees the irony in somebody creating this whole lie and then sitting up there shedding tears, saying that they're hurt by their own lies? A lie that they kept alive for 28 years. Even as many opportunities, basically, that the father that this woman thought was her father, you know, even in his absence and him not being around. I'm not just saying that made him a bad father, but for her to still be looking for a father figure means that he definitely fell short. So again, I just don't. This is wild. Pay attention.
That's what I want to know too. Like, even still, if you didn't see him, like, I don't know.
I mean, why bring up somebody that's not there? He was non-existent.
If you want more, if you hadn't run into him on this bus, this was a done deal for you. You were gonna go to your grave with your daughter thinking.
And that's exactly what she said.
And how does that make you feel?
That's deep. That hurts. With all of this happening, like everything was happening so fast. One day she tell me about him. The next day, she's sending the man picture. I don't know this man. I've never heard him. I never heard about him. Rudolph. I don't know him.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that since your mother reunited and found Mr. Rockmore, she's been sending him pictures and she's told him pretty much that he's your dad.
Basically, I mean, I don't know if she told him that he was my dad, but it's to the point to where his family is like, oh, she belonged to us and she's a Rockmore for sure. And I'm a Lawrence.
Miss Simmons, I need to understand from you if you really get what this 28-year secret has done to your daughter.
I mean, you know what? I also didn't have a relationship with my biological father. And for like 11 years, I never knew this man. I had never seen this man. I shared my brothers and sisters' dad. And so when I finally, met my dad, I could identify like who I look like and all of this. He wasn't a very good person, but I digress. But because she had that relationship with her father, who she calls her father, who did her hair when she was little. She didn't want me to do it. He combed her hair. He made her up pretty. I couldn't tell her.
But now,
So even to this day, when they ask you what, do you see the pain you cause? You go into how you didn't know your dad, and how you shared your siblings' dad and didn't know who your father is and the pain that came from that. So you turn around and you do the same thing to your daughter. And notice how the judge asked her, does she see her daughter's pain? And no accountability. It just goes into her own pain and her own reasons for being a piece of you know what. And, it's a lot of talk on YouTube about people taking content and doing a breakdown of the content. And to some extent, I guess I see where they're coming from. But I watch these things and then feel the need to give my own perspective on it. Because I really question, I know I cannot be the only person watching this and thinking this. But the problem is, nobody speaks up about this. No, you know what I'm saying? And this is a form of terrorism. This whole, like if, again, think of what would have been said to a man by the judge if the shoe was on the other foot. Like I said, I watch a lot of court TV, and Judge Mathis, Judge Joe Brown, all these judges would have let a deadbeat dad or a dad that was doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't that it was like a question of the paternity. She knew that baby was that man's. And then when they ask about the pain she caused, she talks about pain that her own pain. So let's get back to it.
what's his name again? Rudolph. Is insight in mind, like he's here now, like he's around. She know. They be together all the time.
But you have never met this man.
Not a day in my life.
I think the time is now. I know I want to meet him. Do you?
Not really.
You don't? But I think it's the missing piece to the answers that you're seeking. I'll do it with you. How about that?
Indeed.
Jerome, will you please escort Mr. Rockmore to the courtroom, please?
Come on in. Go up to the left.
Good day, Mr. Rockmore.
How you doing?
Please step up to the podium. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Rockmore, this is the first time you've ever laid eyes on Ms. Lawrence,
Yes.
a young lady that could potentially be your biological daughter.
Yes.
When you look at her today, do you feel like this could be a real possibility?
Yeah, I can see some resemblance by the eyes.
Ms. Lawrence, how do you feel right now?
I have butterflies in my stomach. I really do. I don't feel like there's any attachment or like he could be my dad or.
You didn't
I
feel
mean, I
anything.
look at my dad, the person that I call dad, I look at him and I'm like, that's my dad. That's who I look like. My mom's brown skin, my dad's dark skin, and, I feel like I look like Mr. Lawrence.
When Mr. Rockmore walked into this courtroom just now, you felt nothing.
Besides us having the same skin color, no.
Mr. Rockmore, take me to the day that you ran into Miss Simmons on the bus.
I had got on the bus and she was sitting across from me and I was looking at her and
You were looking at her because you recognized her or you were looking at her?
I didn't recognize her. I was looking because she was looking good and then I was looking, I was saying to myself, well, she got some beautiful lips. And
Not knowing you had already been there, done that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. I'm with you though. So at least we know you're consistent. You liked her all over again.
Yeah, exactly. She was looking over at me and when she looked at me, I didn't want her to see me looking, so I like turned my head a little bit.
Okay.
Then she asked, was my name Rudolph? And I was like, yeah. She said, Rudolph Rockmore. I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I'm Yvette. And I was like, Yvette. And then she put her glasses down and looked, and I said, oh, okay. Then I remembered her and got her phone number. We exchanged numbers, and I got off, and she she had called me, and we talked for a while. She said she had something to tell me. She said I might have a daughter. And, I got quiet at first, and I couldn't believe it,
Notice how the story changed. In his story, they met, exchanged numbers, I guess reintroduced themselves. But he said later on, after they were talking and had been talking for a while, is when she revealed that he may be her daughter's child. And she's still lying. She's sitting in the court lying about the timeline in the story. Now, you got to wonder, what was she really out for? You know what I'm saying? Was she really out to like, basically reunite her daughter with her father, or was she trying to get her groove back? Because it's just strange that, the daughter questioned it, and even when she answered it, she kind of fumbled. But here we go.
I was like, and then she told me she was 28 years old, and I was like, wait a minute, that's a long time. That's a lot of time lost out of a kid's life. Mm-hmm. I mean, when we separated, I used to come back by her mom's house and just see if I can see her out or anything, but I guess they had moved. And
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Miss Lawrence, yeah.
Why do you want to know if I'm your child or not?
because I think it's important to know who are my kids, if I have kids.
It's been a really long time. Like, I can't fault you at all. I can't fault you for what's going on, but you can't push me on the swing no more. Like,
No, it's a lot of time lost.
Yeah, I can't be pushed on the swing. No more big wheels. What do you
I can
think
just get to know you and, try to spend some time with you. I can't take the place of, if you're my daughter, the guy that's been taking care of you, I can never take his place because he's been there. But I just like to get to know you and spend time with you.
If he is found to be your biological father, what do you want going forward?
Gradually, slowly but surely, we can, get to know each other. But off
So
top,
you'd be willing to
initially,
do that?
Eventually. I can't say not at this very moment. Like, let's go home and sit up and chop it up. But eventually, yeah.
And if he isn't your father?
Hey, going back to Vegas.
It would be.
I'm not to say I'm gonna be excited that you're not my dad, but I mean, this can just be like, I can just brush it off my shoulders and continue on with whatever I was doing. It'll be a relief.
Miss Simmons, how do you feel
Just to know.
standing in the room now?
For one, I want to apologize to my daughter. I never meant to hurt you or keep something from you as important as this. Like I said, I understand the relationship between you and your dad, and I didn't want to bring up old wounds. He wasn't around. I didn't know where he was.
You don't feel like that apology sincere?
Well, she's apologized multiple times already.
when you stepped into this courtroom today, the first thing you did was acknowledge the fact that the man that raised her, that she acknowledges as daddy, was there for her and took care of her. And I thought it was so admirable that when you asked her whether or not you two could potentially work on having some type of relationship, that you acknowledged that you would never be him, but that you could also be there for her in your own way.
Yes.
Well, I think it's time to solve this 28-year mystery. Jerome, do you have the envelope?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, go slow, go slow, go slow. Go slow, go slow.
I always do. These results, as prepared by DNA Diagnostics, read as follows. In the case of Lawrence versus Simmons, when it comes to 29-year-old Shatika, Mr. Rockmore, you are her father.